Have you ever listened to a parenting podcast while driving and thought, yes, this makes so much sense, and that's exactly what I'm going to do next time? Maybe you saved the Instagram post. Maybe you highlighted the parenting book. Maybe you even sent it to your spouse and said, look, this is exactly what we've been talking about. And then about 6 hours later, your kids are fighting over who touched whose water bottle. Someone is yelling, someone's crying, and you're trying to make dinner, and suddenly every single thing you learned has completely left the building. It's almost like all those beautiful parenting scripts are sitting somewhere in your brain saying, pick me. And your nervous system is saying, sorry, we're closed today. Anybody else? Because for years I thought I needed more parenting information, another book, another podcast, another strategy, another script. And don't get me wrong, I love learning. I still read books, I still listen to podcasts, I still attend trainings, but eventually I realized something that completely changed how I looked at parenting. Honestly, the problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. The problem was that I didn't always have the capacity to do what I already knew. And that realization changed everything. Because suddenly I stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And I started asking, what is stealing my capacity? And if summer has felt harder than expected, if you've been more impatient, more reactive, more exhausted, more overwhelmed, then today's video is just for you. I'm so glad you're here. Because today I want to share three hidden things that may be stealing your parenting capacity this summer. But before we jump in, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jahanvi Shah, founder of Authentically Parenting and a creator of a live parenting method. Every week we talk about emotional intelligence, nervous system science, conscious parenting, and practical tools that help us move from control to connection. If that's your kind of parenting, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what has been feeling the most exhausting about parenting lately. I genuinely read every single comment, and also the more interaction there is on this video, it will reach out to more parents out there who really needs to hear this message. So it's my humble request to like, subscribe, and comment so it reaches to more people. And before we dive in, if you missed the first two videos in our summer parenting series, be sure to watch those after this one. A few weeks ago, we talked about how to make summer feel less chaotic. Last week, we talked about what to do before, during, and after sibling fights. I shared 7 simple strategies that actually works. So definitely check it out after you're done watching here. And today I want to talk about something underneath all of it. Because if we are depleted, if we are overloaded, and if our nervous system is running on empty, and none of parenting tools works the way we want them to. So let's dive in. We're going to be talking about 3 hidden capacity thieves. And this is number 1. I think one of the biggest reasons parents feel exhausted right now is because they're carrying far more than they realize. And I'm not just talking about schedules, laundry, meals. I'm talking about emotional weight, mental weight, invisible weight, the kind nobody sees. Think about a typical summer afternoon. One child is upset, another child is bored, someone's hungry, someone's frustrated, someone's arguing, and your partner texts that they're having a stressful day too, and you remember an email you still haven't answered. Dinner needs to happen, the kitchen is a mess, and somewhere underneath all of that, you're carrying your own feelings too. But because everyone else needs something, your feeling gets pushed down again and again and again. I think many parents become emotional containers for the entire family, right? Every disappointment, every frustration, every meltdown, every conflict, every worry, a little bit gets poured in, and another little bit, and another little bit, until eventually the container is full. And then someone leaves their shoes in the middle of the floor and you lose it. Not because the shoes were the big of a deal, but because they landed on top of everything else you were already carrying. And that's only half of it. Because while you're carrying everyone's emotions, you're also carrying the mental load, the 57 browser tabs, the camp registration, the dentist appointment, the groceries, the birthday gift, the beach towels, the screen time concerns, the sibling fighting, the text message you forgot to answer, the dinner plan, the fact that you're out of toothpaste. And the truth is, many parents don't feel exhausted because they're doing parenting wrong. They feel exhausted because they're carrying too much for too long with too little support. And one of the most freeing things I've ever learned was this: my job isn't to make sure everyone is okay. My job is to help them move through not being okay. That's very different if you think about it. And it's much lighter on the nervous system. And here is hidden capacity thief number 2. The second hidden thing stealing your parenting capacity this summer is that your nervous system never really gets a break. And I don't think most parents realize how much this matters, because parenting isn't just something we do, it's something we're constantly thinking about, even when we're supposedly resting. Have you ever finally sat down at the end of the day, taken a deep breath, and gotten comfortable on the couch, and then immediately remember 3 things you forgot to do? Right? Right? You're not alone. I want you to know that, right? You finally sit down and your brain says, oh, don't forget the camp form. Oh, did you answer the teacher's email? Ooh, we need toothpaste, right? When is the dentist appointment again? And suddenly you're working again, mentally, emotionally, and even if your body is sitting still. And sometimes I joke that motherhood feels like being the customer service department for a company that never closes. Mom, 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 mom. And just when you answer the question, another one appears, and another, and another. Now, I'm not complaining about children needing us. That's normal. Children seek connection. Children seek support. The problem isn't that our children need us. The problem is that many parents rarely get a true nervous system reset. And when we're physically alone, we're still mentally available. We're still listening. We're still anticipating. We're still remembering. We're still carrying. And summer amplifies this. Because summer doesn't necessarily create parenting challenges, it magnifies them. Right? There are more togetherness, more interruptions, more snacks, more sibling interaction, noise, stimulation, even more opportunities to become overwhelmed. I remember one summer afternoon thinking, how is it only 1:15 p.m.? Right? The kids had already asked for approximately 473 snacks. One wanted me to watch something, the other wanted help with something. Right? My phone was buzzing, and I felt like I already lived 3 separate days. Have you ever had one of those afternoons? Nothing terrible happened, but somehow you feel completely depleted. Like, how did that happen? And that's when I realized something, that I wasn't reacting to one moment, reacting to the accumulation of moments. The interruption wasn't the problem. It was interruption number 47. The sibling argument wasn't the problem. It was sibling argument number 12. The snack request wasn't the problem. It was the snack request number 93. And suddenly something small feels huge. Not because you're horrible, not because you're failing, not because you're impatient, but because your nervous system has been running a marathon. And if summer feels harder than you expected, I want you to hear, you're not doing it wrong. You are not the only one, and you're certainly not failing. Your nervous system may simply need more recovery than it's getting right now. Isn't that a huge awareness? Here is hidden capacity thief number 3. And this last one, guys, I think it runs deeper than all the others. Many of us aren't just raising children. We're raising children while trying to heal parts of ourselves. And that's hard, really hard. Because parenting has a way of bringing things to the surface that we didn't even know were still there. Like, have you noticed that? Like, sometimes your child does something completely age appropriate and your reactions feels much bigger than the moment itself. Not because you're a bad parent, not because you're failing, but because the moment touched something so deeper. Maybe your child ignores you and suddenly you feel deeply disrespected. Maybe your child rejects your help and suddenly you feel hurt. Maybe your child says, "Oh, you're so mean, mom," or "I don't like you right now." And suddenly it feels much bigger than a child's passing frustration, because parenting doesn't just activate our children, parenting activates us. And for many of us, we're trying to do something incredibly brave. We're trying to parent differently than we were parented. We're trying to break cycles. We're trying to stay calm when calm wasn't always modeled for us. We're trying to validate emotions when ours weren't always validated. We're trying to create connection where there may once have been disconnection. And that work is beautiful. But let's be honest, it's exhausting too. Because healing doesn't happen before parenting, it happens during parenting, during hard moments. Imagine if somebody had said, before you have children, you will spend a few years healing every wound, resolving every trigger, and becoming perfectly regulated. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Instead, life hands us children, and then our children become some of our greatest teachers. Not because they're trying to teach us, but because they reveal things. They reveal our triggers, our fears, our expectations, our wounds, the places where we still need compassion. And please hear me when I say this. You do not need to be perfectly healed to be a wonderful parent. Let me say that again. You do not need to be perfectly healed to be a wonderful parent to your child. What children need is not perfection. They need presence. They need repair. They need a parent who is willing to learn. And if you're here listening to this, you are doing that, right? Parent who is willing to grow. Parent who is willing to come back after a hard moment and say, you know what? I wish I had handled that differently. That's where trust grows. Not in perfection, in repair. And honestly, I think many conscious parents are carrying a tremendous amount of pressure. Pressure to get it right, pressure not to repeat the past, pressure to always stay regulated, pressure to always know what to do. And sometimes that pressure becomes its own source of exhaustion. Because while we're trying so hard to become the parent our children need, we forget that we are human too. We need support too. We need compassion too. We need grace too. And this brings me to something I wish every parent understood. Everything that we have talked about today, caring more than you realize, never getting a true nervous system break, healing while parenting, none of these things are solved by another script, another consequence, another sticker chart, another parenting book. Those things help. I teach tools too. I love tools. But tools only work, hear me out, tools only work when we have the capacity to use them. And that's when I realized something. The problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do, right? I knew what to do. The problem was that I didn't always have the capacity to do what I already knew. And I think that's true for so many parents I work with. Most parents aren't underinformed. In fact, they're overloaded. And when capacity gets low, even the best parenting advice becomes difficult to access. That's why you can know exactly what to do and still find yourself doing the opposite in the heat of the moment. Again, not because you're failing, not because you're broken, not because you are trying hard enough, but because your nervous system is overwhelmed. And when I finally understood that, everything started to make so much more sense. And honestly, that huge realization is exactly why I created the Alive Parenting Method. Not because parents need more information. Most parents already know more than they think. And not because parents need more pressure either, because most parents already carry enough pressure. I created Alive because I realized something. Support creates capacity, and capacity changes everything. Capacity creates patience. Capacity creates flexibility. Capacity creates connection. Capacity creates repair. Capacity creates a space to become the parent you already want to be. Because when capacity is low, even the best parenting advice falls apart. Personal experience, I've witnessed it in so many clients. But when capacity grows, everything gets easier to access. The patience, the empathy, the regulation, the connection, the repair. You don't need a script then. And if you've been watching this summer series, if you've been nodding your head through today's video, if you've been thinking, wow, this is exactly what I've been feeling, then I want you to know that enrollment for Alive is officially open now. Inside Alive, we work on both sides of the parenting equation, understanding our children and understanding ourselves. Because parenting transformation doesn't happen through information alone. It happens through awareness, through practice, support, and community. So if it feels aligned, I would love to support you in your parenting journey. I'll leave the details below. Take a look. See if it feels like the right next step for you. I never would want you to take any decision in pressure or urgency. It's just an invitation to stop trying to become a better parent through more effort and really start becoming a more connected parent through more support. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one final thought. If you've been feeling exhausted lately, if you've been feeling impatient, reactive, overwhelmed, or like you're somehow falling short, I hope you'll remember this. Exhaustion is not evidence that you're failing. Sometimes it's evidence that you've been carrying too much for too long. And I think so many good parents are walking around believing that if they were just more patient, more disciplined, more organized, more consistent, then everything would feel easier. But what if that's not true? What if the problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough? What if you've simply been carrying more than one nervous system was ever meant to carry alone? Because think about everything we've talked about today. You're carrying emotional weight. You're carrying mental weight. You're carrying invisible weight. You're carrying healing. Of course you're tired. That doesn't make you weak. That simply makes you human. And if nobody has told you this lately, you're doing better than you think you are. The fact that you're here, the fact that you're watching videos like this, the fact that you're trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to understand yourself and your child more deeply, that matters. It matters more than perfection ever will. Because children don't need perfect parents. They need parents who keep showing up. Parents who keep learning, parents who keep repairing, parents who keep choosing connection even after hard days. And if today reminded you of anything, I hope it's this. You don't need more pressure, you need more support. Right? Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 3 hidden capacity thieves resonated with you the most? Was it carrying more than you realize? Was it your nervous system never getting break, or healing while parenting? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely read them, and your comments often inspire future videos too. And if you know another parent who needs this message today, please share this video with them. They will thank you. You know, sometimes one reminder can completely change the way someone sees themselves. And if this video was helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because every week here on Authentically Parenting, we talk about emotional intelligence, nervous system science, conscious parenting, and practical tools that help us move from control to connection. And if you missed the first two videos in the summer parenting series, definitely go back and watch them. In the first video, we talked about how to make summer feel less chaotic with kids. In the second video, we talked about 7 strategies before, during, and after sibling conflict. Both of those conversations connect beautifully with today's video, and I'll link them below. And next week we'll continue the series with a video I'm really excited about. Now that we have talked about what's stealing our capacity, next week we're going to talk about how to rebuild it. Not through perfection, not through pressure, but through realistic, practical shifts that actually work in real family life. I think it's going to be one of the most helpful videos in this entire summer series, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Take a deep breath. Offer yourself a little grace. And remember, the problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you don't always have the capacity to do what you already know. And that's something we build one small step, one moment, one layer of support at a time. See you next week.